Hello guys. Hello guys. Now we are going to learn about getting things done. This is the most important and effective strategies on how to actually be productive. So let me introduce you to what is the first things about getting things done. You have to understand that it is possible for a person to have an overwhelming number of things to do and still function productively with a clear head and a positive sense of relaxed control. That's a great way to live and work at elevated levels of effectiveness and efficiency. It is also the best way to be fully present with whatever you're doing, appropriately engaged in the moment. It is when time disappears and your attention is completely at your command. What you're doing is exactly what you ought to be doing. Given the whole spectrum of your commitments and interests, you're fully available. This is the operational style now critical for successful, high performing professionals, a necessary mode for the sanity of anyone experiencing overextended life situations, and also a fundamental platform to allow all of us the freedom to involve ourselves optimally in our most meaningful endeavors. You already know how to do everything necessary to achieve this healthy, high performance state. If you are like most people, however, you need to apply these skills in a more timely, complete, and systematic way so you can get on top of it all instead of feeling buried. And though the method and the techniques I describe in this book are immensely practical and based on common sense, most people will have some major habits that must be modified before they can fully enjoy the benefits of the system. Small changes required, changes in the way you clarify and organize all the things that command your attention, would represent a significant alteration in how you approach some key aspects of your day to day activities. But the results are often reported as transformational. Well, the methods I'm about to present here in these lectures are number one, capturing all things that might need to get done or have usefulness for you. Now, later, someday, big, little, or in between. In a logical and trusted system outside your head and off your mind. Directed yourself to make front end decisions about all of the inputs you let into your life so that you can always have a workable inventory of next actions that you can implement or renegotiate in the moment. And curating and coordinating all of that content, utilizing the recognition of the multiple levels of commitments with yourself and others you will have at play at any point in time. Now, here I will be offering a proven method for this kind of high performance workflow management. It provides good tools, tips, techniques, and tricks for implementation. As you will discover, the principles and methods are instantly usable and applicable to everything you have to do in your personal as well as your professional life. You can incorporate as many others I have before you. What I describe as an ongoing dynamic style of operating in your work and in your world. Now let me show you what it is. Number one, a new practice for a new reality. You have to establish some new practices which you're going to continue doing so that your reality would change. Number one, addressing the problem, which is new demands, insufficient resources. Almost everyone I encounter these days feel he or she has too much to handle, not enough time to get it all done. In the course of a single week, I consulted with a partner in a major global management, and they have about 150 plus email requests per day, fueled by the goal of doubling the company's regional office staff. And during this, all she tried to protect a social life for herself on the weekends. A paradox has emerged in this new millennium. People have enhanced quality of life, but at the same time, they're adding to their stress levels by taking on more than they have resources to handle. It's as though their eyes were bigger than their stomachs. The plethora of options and opportunities brings with it the pressures of decision making and choices. And most people are to some degree frustrated and perplexed about how to improve the situation. Number one, work no longer has clear boundaries. A major factor in the mounting stress level is that the actual nature of our jobs has changed much more dramatically and rapidly than have our training for and our ability to deal with work. In the old days, work was self evident. Fields were to be plowed, machines tooled, boxes packed, cows milked, crates moved. You knew what work had to be done. You could see it. It was clear when the work was finished or not finished. Increasing your productivity was all about making the work process more efficient or simply working harder or longer. Now, for many of us, there are no edges to most of our projects. Most people I know have at least half a dozen things they are trying to achieve or situations they would like to improve right now. And even if they had the rest of their lives to try, they wouldn't be able to finish this to perfection. You're probably faced with the same dilemma. How good could that conference be? How effective could the training program be? Or the structure of your executive's compensation package? How well could you manage your kids' education? How close to perfect is the blog you're writing? How motivating is the staff meeting you're setting up? So, this is the one which is very important for us to understand. And at the same time, on another front, the lack of edges can create more work for everyone. Many of today's organizational outcomes require cross divisional communication, cooperation, and engagement. Our individual office silos are crumbling, and with them is going the luxury of not having to read CC'd emails from the marketing department, or from human resources, or from some ad hoc deal with a certain issue committee. Add to that the increasing pull on your engagement with friends and family as distance from them disappears, with even aging parents taking to the internet and their smartphones to stay connected. So not only our work and its cognitive boundaries are ambiguous and ill-defined, so are the time and space within which we can be engaged with it, along with the continuing explosion of potentially meaningful and accessible data that could add value to our lives. Number two, our jobs and lives keep changing. The disintegrating edges of our projects and our work in general would be challenging enough for anyone. But now we must add to that equation the constantly shifting definition of our jobs, as well as the frequent changes in responsibilities and interests, the broader scope of our lives. I often ask in my seminar, which of you are doing only what you were hired to do? How many of you have not had any significant change in your personal life the past year? Very rarely would ever someone raise a hand. As amorphous as ageless work may be, if you had the chance to stick with some specifically described job long enough, you would probably figure out what you needed to do, how much, what level to stay sane. And if you could keep life in general more in check, no residence moves, no relationship changes, no emerging health or lifestyle issues for you and for loved ones, no financial surprises, no motivational programs generating inspiring new directions, no career shifts thrust on you, you might be able to create a rhythm and system of managing it that would allow for some relaxed stability. But very few of us have that kind of luxury for three reasons. One, organizations are now almost universally in morph mode with ever changing goals, products, partners, customers, etc., extending you to different structures, forms, roles, and accountabilities. Number two, the average professional is more of a free agent these days than ever before, changing careers as often as his or her parents once changed jobs. And number three, the relative speed of changes in our cultures, lifestyles, and technologies are creating greater necessity for individuals to take more control of their unique personal situations. Little seems clear for very long anymore. As far as what to do at the office, at home, on the plane, in the car, and at the local cafe, a lot of things are not really clear. We are allowing in huge amounts of information and communication from the outer world, and generating an equally large volume of ideas and agreements with others and ourselves from the inner world. And we haven't been well equipped to deal with this huge number of internal and external commitments. Nothing is really new in this high-tech, globally wired world, except how frequently it is, when the pace of change in life and work was much slower. Once people got past the inevitable discomfort of the new, they could hang out on cruise control for greatly extended periods of time. Most of us now living in a world that does not afford that time out kind of luxury. Alright? The old models and habits are insufficient. Neither our standard education, nor traditional time management models, nor the plethora of digital and paper-based organizing tools available has given us a viable means of meeting the new demands placed on us. If you have tried to use any of these processes or tools, you probably found them unable to accommodate the speed, complexity, and changing priority factors inherent in what you are doing. The ability to be focused, relaxed, and in control during these fertile but turbulent and often unstructured times demands new ways of thinking and working. And then, the big picture versus nitty-gritty. At the other end of the spectrum, a huge number of business books, models, seminars, and gurus have championed the bigger view as the solution to dealing with our complex world, clarifying major goals and values so the thinking gives order, meaning, and direction to our work. In practice, however, the well-intentioned exercise of values thinking too often does not achieve its desired results. I have seen too many of these efforts fail for one or more of the following three reasons. There is too much distraction at the day-to-day, hour-to-hour level of commitment to allow for appropriate focus on the higher levels. Ineffective personal organizational systems create huge subconscious resistance to undertaking even bigger projects and goals that will likely not be managed well. That will in turn cause even more distraction and stress. When loftier levels and values actually are clarified, it raises the bar of our standards, making us notice that much more that needs changing. We are already having a serious negative reaction to the overwhelming number of things we have to do. Now, focusing on primary outcomes and values is a critical exercise, certainly. It provides needed criteria for making sometimes difficult choices about what to stop doing, as well as what most ought to have our attention amid our excess of options. But it does not mean that there is less to do, or fewer challenges in getting the work done. Quite the contrary, it just ups the ante in the game, which still must be played day to day. For a human resources executive, deciding to deal with quality of work-life issues in order to attract and keep key talent does not make things simpler. Nor would there be less to do for a mother recognizing the importance of providing valuable experiences for her teenage daughter in the few vacations left. What is there? The promise. Ready state of a martial artist. Reflect for a moment on what it actually might be like if your personal management situation were totally under control, at all levels and at all times. What if you had completely clear mental space, with nothing pulling or pushing on you unproductively? What if you could decide fully 100% of your attention to whatever was at hand at your own choosing with no distraction? It is possible. There is a way to get a grip on it all, stay relaxed, and get meaningful things done with minimal effort. Across the whole spectrum of your life and work, you can experience what the martial artists call a mind like water, and top athletes refer to as the zone. Within the complex world in which you're engaged, in fact, you have probably already been in this state from time to time. It's a condition of working, doing, and being in which the mind is clear and constructive things are happening. It's a state that is accessible to everyone, and one that is increasingly needed to deal effectively with the complexity of life in this century. So let's see what it is. The mind like water smile. In karate, there is an image that is used to define the position of perfect readiness. Mind like water. Imagine throwing a pebble into a still pond. How does the water respond? The answer is totally appropriately to the force and mass of the input. Then it returns to calm. It doesn't overreact or underreact. Water is what it is and does what it does. It can overwhelm, but it's not overwhelmed. It can be still, but it is not impatient. It can be forced to change course, but it is not frustrated. Get it? Exactly. The power in a karate punch comes from speed, not muscle. It comes from a focused pop at the end of the whip. That is why petite people can learn to break boards and bricks with their hands. It doesn't take calluses or brute strength, just the ability to generate a focused thrust with speed. But a tense muscle is a slow one. So the high levels of training in the martial arts teach demand, balance, and relaxation as much as anything else. Clearing the mind to being open and appropriately responsive is the key. Anything that causes you to overreact or underreact can control you and often does. Responding, understand this. Anything that causes you to overreact or underreact can control you and often does. Responding inappropriately to your email, your thoughts about what you need to do, your children, or your boss will lead to less effective results than you would like. Most people give either more or less attention to things than they deserve, simply because they don't operate with a mind like water. Number 2, getting into your productive state. Think about the last time you felt highly productive. You probably had a sense of being in control. You were not stressed. You were not stressed out. You were highly focused on what you were doing. Time tended to disappear. And you felt you were making noticeable progress toward a meaningful outcome. Would you like to have more such experiences? And if you get seriously far out of that state and start to feel out of control, stressed out, unfocused, bored, and stuck, do you have the ability to get yourself back into it? That's where the methodology of getting things done will have the greatest impact on your life, by showing you how to get back to mind like water, with all your resources and faculties functioning at a maximum level. A challenge for many may be the lack of a reference point as to when they fall out of the productive state. Most people have lived in a semi-stressful experience so consistently for so long, they don't know that it could be quite different, that there is another and more positive place from which to engage with their world. Hopefully, now in these lectures, I will try to inspire you to raise the bar about how much pressure you will allow yourself to tolerate, knowing you have the techniques to reduce it. So let's get ahead into the learning about how to deal effectively with your internal commitments. Thank you very much, guys.